You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Hi folks, I'm Bob Venturini, host of the longest running cable variety show in southern New England. That's right, An Hour with Bob has been on for 27 years consistently here in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And my guest tonight on An Hour with Bob, our representative from Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation, Katherine Hypolite, and she's going to talk about recycling. I know I mess it up, and that's why I brought her on, because apparently a lot of other people do too. But also, my other guest is a longtime friend, even though he jammed me up in the 2010 Lieutenant Governor's race. We'll talk about that. He's done it all. Started with the Providence Journal, went to ABC6. Then he continues to work for WPRO on the radio, PRO AM, and he does the Hummel report. That would be Jim Hummel. And you'll see both of them tonight on An Hour with Bob. We'll be right back. Good afternoon, folks, and welcome to a special edition of An Hour with Bob. And with me today is a woman that was here, when, 2 years ago?
Oh, where has the time gone? Has it been that long? Maybe 2 years ago.
Year and a half, 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Katherine.
She is
Hypolite.
Hypolite.
Huh? Hypolite.
Yes.
Now, you are with Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation?
Yes, but you can just say resource recovery if that's easier.
Not right, because we know it's Rhode Island. We're in Rhode
Well,
Island.
we're here. Where else would we be?
We're here.
We
Where
don't
else
go
would we
anywhere.
be? Now, you handle what? What is your specific task?
So I am the communications coordinator.
Okay.
So I do all the outreach for all the, we manage solid waste. So recycling, composting, the landfill, Eco Depot for hazardous waste. But right now, I'm extremely focused on the recycling piece of what we do because we're in the middle of a campaign. It's campaign season for us.
It's a campaign.
Not your kind of campaign.
Let's recycle.
Let's recycle right.
Right.
Yes.
Let's recycle other, not left.
Not left.
Let's recycle
Wanna
right.
Right. Like
Now, you had
and.
this campaign before,
We
right?
did. So we did a reboot. Some people are like, why did you do the same thing?
Right.
Don't you want something like cool and edgy? And
Right.
it's like, no, because
It worked?
it did work.
Yeah.
And people get campaign fatigue. So if you hit people every year or two with a new message, you gotta get lost in that campaign hoopla, and the actual education piece, which is what we're about, can get lost. So we, just kind of are doing the same thing, because last time when we did it, we saw an 18% reduction in the amount of basically bad stuff in recycling bins.
Well, because it's easy to put the wrong stuff in the recycling bin, right?
It can be, if you don't have the proper tools and you haven't been educated,
Well,
of course you're gonna.
You know what I have? No, I have a tenement house.
Yeah.
And I have on my, you'll be proud of this, on my staircase and on the door as they're going out, and on the staircase as they're coming in, there's a sign, with your sign, the recycling sign there. With what
Do you have one of these labels?
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. But I have more than that. I have something more than that label. There's the other.
Like a brochure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the wall, and it says you can recycle this, but you can't recycle that.
Yes.
Because I find myself out policing it. Not like arresting anybody, but I'm outside taking stuff out of the big blue recycling bins.
Oh, yeah.
That don't belong there. Like one thing right away, styrofoam.
Yes, styrofoam
No
is,
good.
Is a no good.
And even worse, it's styrofoam with food in it, right?
Oh, absolutely. So Rhode Island's actually pretty special, I like to think at least. And we do have a drop-off program for recycling. So people get confused a lot of times because we say recycling and people are like, but like, I thought paint was recyclable and plastic bags were recyclable.
Right.
And so they are.
But
What we're talking about typically is the mixed recycling program. So you're talking about those big blue bins. When we're talking about like what is and what isn't recyclable,
right.
we're talking about what you can put out on the curb. And that's
Okay.
that's another thing that sometimes confuses people. So we try to make sure that
you
we
just
are
made me confused
helpful.
already. I'm totally confused now.
You'll be fine. We'll get it together.
Mixed recycling
Yes.
is different than.
So there's mixed recycling is the program that we run, the stuff that goes to our materials recycling facility and gets sorted and separated, sent off. That's the mixed recycling program.
Right.
But then there's this whole like other side category of materials that can be disposed of in a way that gets recycled,
Okay, like
but you
wood.
can't put it in your bin.
Like wood, like somebody doing a rehab on a house. or
Yeah,
something.
so
that's not your gig.
That isn't, but there are plenty of companies out there that have these construction, demolition, and debris recycling facilities. There's one in New Bedford, which is Mass, but there's a couple in Johnston, and you can bring that material to them,
Right.
and then they like crush it up and do fun stuff with it. And like I said, paint. So there's that paint care program. So you can go to like Sherman-Williams or go to your local paint store, and they take your paint back, remanufacture it, and turn it into new paint. Textiles. So you can go to the the Planet Aid bins or the Big Brother Big Sisters bins that you see like in
Right.
the parking lot.
Right.
That's all a form of recycling because
Sure.
you're taking something and then you're making it to something else. But these aren't the things that we want in our bin.
Getting back to the paint.
Yeah.
Well, I worked for the Lieutenant Governor.
So I've heard.
And he found out that there was a tax on paint.
Yes.
That every person that buys a can of paint pays a tax on that paint. And it's 75 cents
Off the top of my head, I'm not
I don't
sure.
know what the heck it is, but I know it's a good deal of money. It sounds like a little bit of money, but all in all, that money is collected by this nonprofit. And come to find out, they had like $41 million in their account.
They did have a surplus, yes.
Surplus? A little surplus?
They had a surplus, yes. But these fees that get or
And he went
taxes-
after them for that,
yeah.
to get that knocked down. It was
Yeah.
75 cents.
Yeah.
He went after them to get that knocked down, and they offered to knock it down like 10 cents. And he goes, no,
Maybe a little
you're
bit
not knocking
more.
it down 10 cents.
Well, you need the money to fund the programs because someone's got to pay for it.
Right.
But the magic is finding that right amount of money.
Right.
So whoever's running the programs isn't ending up with these huge surpluses, but they have enough to fund it, advertise it, and make it successful.
Well, how
so
we
that's finding that balance.
How we found out about what was going on was that we went to visit this guy who was a contractor, big time contractor, builds these big communities. And he was talking about the thousands and thousands of dollars he pays in fee for those cans of paint. And he wondered where that money went to.
Yeah. And the thing as not on behalf of resource recovery, but me as a human, I feel like it's really nice to be able to have manufacturers be responsible for what happens with stuff when you're done with it, whether it be computers or mattresses or carpet or whatever. It's important to think about the back end of it, but I think consumers sometimes get a sticker shock when they're like, why am I paying a tax for this?
Right.
I just bought it, but they're going to dispose of it at some time. So it's just getting it on the front end as opposed to getting it on the back end.
Now, you mentioned mattresses.
I did.
And it used to be that if you wanted, as a landlord, they always end up leaving you the old mattresses. When the tenants leave, they leave, they stick me with them, and it would cost me $18 to get rid of a mattress. And what would happen is somebody like me would pay the $18 and get rid of it. But some other people, unscrupulous people, throw it in the back of a truck or be on the top of the car and drop it down some side street. So everybody have mattresses in their neighborhood.
Oh yeah. So Rhode Island, we've been talking a lot about the industry term for these programs we're talking about is EPR, so it's like extended producer responsibility legislation that goes in.
This,
I know, I'm
my
super
God.
fancy.
Yeah.
But mattresses was a big issue because illegal dumping was a problem. So I believe it was back in 2006, Rhode Island joined California and Connecticut in becoming one of the buy-buy mattress states. So we have a recycling program. So you pay the fee again up front, but any Rhode Islander—
You pay the fee when you buy the mattress.
Yes, when you buy the mattress. But then when it's time to get rid of it, it's free to get rid of it.
But you know something? I only found it to get free in the last couple of years. I was still paying for all these years after that 2006. I didn't get the free ride.
2016.
Oh, you said 2006. Okay.
My mistake. 2016. Yes. But what is nice about the program is not only the new mattresses are covered, but legacy mattresses. So if you bought a mattress 30 years ago, you can still drop that off.
Can you imagine if you bought a mattress 30 years ago?
I mean, I had a mattress I had like a pretty old mattress.
Really?
Yeah. It wasn't 30 years. It wasn't 30 years old.
You're not that old. You're not 30 years old.
I sure am.
No, you're not. I don't believe it.
I swear. I have my license. I can tell you. Yeah.
Well, you just broke 30 then. All right, I'll leave that alone.
You're not supposed to talk about women's ages.
I know. Well, I'm the one that said you're not 30 years old. You're the one that said you are. Right?
Yes.
All right. So what do you got for us? What are you going to show me? You got to educate me. Because I really don't know what can we recycle, what can we not recycle.
Perfect. So I brought props because you know, of course. You gotta be
flip them on the
prepared.
table. No, leave that down and pick one up at a time.
Okay, just making sure. So I'm gonna tip this up a little because I want to show it.
Well, you gotta give it to Vanna White thing.
Yeah. By the way, I looked up her age yesterday. She's 62.
Is she really?
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that.
Yeah, way to go, Vanna. She
but,
is.
You know, it kind of makes sense because they've been doing that show for 36 years.
As long as I've been alive, it's been on the air.
36 years, I think. 35, 36 years.
So,
it's got to be 36 years because they give away 36,000. It's their minimum.
There you go.
Right?
I'm very impressed by Vanna. Sorry for that little detour. So my show and tell, first I want to show you that this is just like a regular old recycling bin.
Right.
But back in 2016, we partnered with a local nonprofit called Recycle Across America, actually a national nonprofit called Recycle Across America, to adopt a standardized label to put on bins.
Right.
As you know, as just a human, recycling bins are different sizes, different shapes, different colors, and it can get really confusing if you don't even know what bin to put it in, let alone what to put in it.
Right.
So this label is kind of like the basic level of information that you need to be like just a decent recycler. Not perfect, but good.
Right.
So stuff that you put in this, if you follow this, you're going to be good.
Put it right here then. Put it right
here. I just want to quickly go through. So there's basically like 4 categories of material that we want at our facility.
Okay, good.
So we've got paper, cardboard, and cartons.
Yeah.
Metal cans, lids, and foil. Glass bottles and jars. Plastic containers. So people all the time are like, Catherine, like, can I can I put this in my bin? That's it. Those are the—
Nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing on God's green earth else
works.
Do we want. Only those 4 things.
And it cannot be like a peanut butter jar with peanut butter in it.
So, yes, that's a great point. So we want these things, but we want them empty at a minimum and rinse whenever possible. So we don't want you like running your peanut butter jars through the dishwasher or feeling like you have to, because that's not energy. That is not energy efficient. But we want to to scrape it out. So if you have like a silicone spatula, or my dog, anytime at the end of a peanut butter jar,
you can bring them over your house.
I give it to my dog, and she licks it out, and it's pristine. So empty at a minimum, rinse whenever possible. And then there's one exception to like the container rule that we like to point out, because like a plastic bag is technically a container. It contains stuff, but we do not want plastic bags.
You said that with authority.
This is important stuff.
We do not.
We do not want them.
No, why do you not want?
They are, don't mock me, they are by far the biggest nuisance at our facility. So, one, to get a plastic bag from a curb to a recycling facility in general is pretty impossible if it's loose, because it just gets airborne and causes litter, and then it's in the streams and the rivers, and we don't want that. But if they do make it to our facility, we use a lot of like machines that turn, and they just get wrapped in the equipment, and it is awful, and it can literally shut operations down to a halt. And then when they get stuck, someone has to literally crawl up into the machine.
Not you.
No, not me. I'd do it if they asked, though. Crawl out and cut them out. And
Really?
it's dangerous. And I think that's one, and I know I'm going out like all on tangent here, but that's one of the things that people sometimes don't think about when they think about recycling. They think like, oh, you put it on your curb and then it goes away.
It's plastic, yeah.
And then like it goes to the facility and then like the magical unicorns recycle it. Like that's not what happens.
Well, what about when people, one of my tenants does this, and I corrected them. They put their bottles and their cans in a plastic, tied in the plastic bag. No good, right?
No,
no good.
No. No bags, no bags of bags, no recycling inside of
Paper
bags.
bags are okay.
I don't like.
Wait a minute. Paper bags are not
So,
okay?
It's not that they're not okay, because a paper bag is what? It's paper.
And it's a bag.
It's recyclable, but we never really want any stuff inside of material.
Well, you know, you're teaching people stuff here right now, and myself included, and my tenants. They do it. They'll get bags in there, and a couple of them like to drink, and they get bottles of wine, you know, empty wine bottles in there.
I mean, we want them, so keep doing what you're doing because we want the material. But I will say, like I live in Warwick, and I have a big recycling cart, but I recycle all over the house.
I love that recycling cart, by the way. Those big ones, those big blue ones,
they
are awesome.
And in Warwick, we have two because, you know, things.
And you have different color ones.
Yes, we have a blue and a green one.
What is with that?
Because it's a relic of the past. So prior to 2012, we had what we call a dual stream facility. So like your paper and your cardboard and cartons went here, and then like your bottles and your jars went there.
Oh, because I wondered that. I've been to people's houses, and they have two colors, the green and the blue.
It's very convenient for us Warwickians, but
what do you call yourself?
Warwickians.
You're a
Is that not a real thing? Did I just make that up?
No, my years, I've never heard of that.
Trademark it. I'm going to trademark it. I'm a Warwickian.
I have never heard that before.
We take our recycling very serious in Warwick.
You do, huh?
Yeah, we do.
But I like the bins. I mean, they are strong. Those things are strong.
They're great, and they have the lid. And one of the things, you know, we're going off topic a little bit, but like one of the things that we struggle with is we get too much of the wrong stuff at our facility. We get diapers, we get food waste, we get anything you could imagine. Like we got a frozen boa constrictor once. Like just like the craziest stuff. And one of the things that also impacts us is moisture. So I live in a community with a nice close top, but some people live in open air communities with the smaller bins like this. And when it just is raining and pouring, it can turn the paper into mush. And mush is really hard to separate.
Oh, yeah. Well, then again, they go back to those wheels. They get stuck in the wheels and all that stuff.
Yes.
Now, is it true that those big bins have GPS things in them or something?
So some of them do have like RFD taggers in them based on the community, but not all of them. So if someone's bin gets lost, they can say like, oh, this belongs to, you know,
so
Joan on Smith Street.
Bin.
But not every community has them, but some do.
Yeah. I think in Pawtucket we do.
I don't know. You guys go rogue in Pawtucket. Who knows what you guys do? I love you, Pawtucket, I swear.
So what do you got? Oh, wait a minute. Here you go. There's one. Now, tell us about this.
Okay.
Because it's organic?
So, it is organic. So, I should ask you, we went through the 4 categories, right? The first one being fiber.
Right.
Is this good or is this not good? Is this, it's a carton.
It's tough because it's a mix, isn't it?
Yep.
It's plastic and it's paper.
Because of the little top, right?
Eh.
You would think, but a carton's fine. Even these little so a lot of things have like a little thing that's a plastic or a little thing that's metal, totally fine.
Really?
So this is good. You can recycle that. What about this?
Clothes hangers. Wait a minute. Are you here to make me look bad? Yeah.
It's plastic.
It's plastic. Is it recyclable? Yes.
What did I teach you about recycling plastics? What do they have to be? They gotta be containers.
Only containers?
Only containers. This is not a container. Trash.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can reuse it or like, you know, turn it into a musical instrument or anything. But when it's time to
for my pants though.
Yeah, when it's time to dispose of it, it's trash.
It's trash. What about the hangers, the wire hangers?
So again, we always go back to the rules. So the rules for metal is metal cans, lids, and foil. Not one of those, but a lot of, if you get them from a dry cleaner, a lot of them will take them back.
The dry cleaners will take them back.
A lot of them do for reuse.
except the ones that have the cardboard, the pressed cardboard at the bottom.
It depends. Some will, some won't.
Well, sometimes they get bent.
But if it's a completely metal wire hanger,
Right.
you can, if you have like a local scrap drop off, you can drop that off as scrap
Well,
metal.
they're good for getting in cars.
I wouldn't know, but
I've used them over the years. I've had to use them numerous
You
times to
know?
get in a car.
I learn a lot when I come here.
But they work, I'm telling you. All right, what else? Let me see. Let me grab something else.
Da,
Here.
da, da.
Oh, that's a,
Well,
what
you
you
already
do?
had
The
that
same
one.
thing.
That's recyclable.
That's recyclable.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
now what's wrong with that? Nothing.
Nothing.
That's a recyclable
Sure
item.
is. The one thing that, like the one prep tip that I like to tell
Although
people.
I don't like Welch's now. But
You know, Welch's is
what about
delicious. Is we like to make sure that our cardboard is flattened.
flattened.
So, as you know, all of your stuff goes in mixed, but all of our sort of equipment does something different to separate things.
Right.
So we need our paper flat to kind of like ride through the system, and it like dances up our star
Pretty
screen.
fussy, ain't you?
Yeah, you know, I don't make up the rules.
Gosh.
Th-
So it's got to be. That's got to be flat.
It's gotta be
gotta
flat. There's only 4 rules, and then some prep tips.
All right, you got bottles. You got glass, plastic bottle containers.
Yeah. Let's see what else is
And
in
what
here.
is this? Metal cans and paper.
So let's.
All
What
right,
about?
I got it. Wait a minute now.
What do we
That
got?
is a container.
Yes.
Granted, it's not. I'm saying no.
Because it's metal, and it's not a can.
Right.
It's not a lid.
Right.
It's not foil.
And it's not solid one item or another. It's 2 items. It's plastic and
Yeah.
it's metal.
Trash if you want to dispose of it.
Right.
But if
not.
it's. But
You
if
can throw it
it's,
in your regular trash.
you can throw it in regular trash, but if it's in good shape, you might want to
You
donate
might want to use it. Is that
or-
yours?
I don't cook. I only make reservations. But whatever.
You don't cook?
Oh God, no.
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 What is it with the woman your age don't cook? What's that? What's that?
I got a full-time job and a child. I don't have time to cook.
Oh, you got to cook for your child.
No, he gets the stuff out of the jar.
He gets the stuff before the door.
Yeah, he gets. Yeah, it's there, you know, in the jar. And those baby food jars, those are recyclable.
Oh, it's only a little baby.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's
yeah.
9 months.
Oh.
And super cute.
Oh, I'm sure.
Super cute.
Super cute.
Yes. But back to recycling and not my child. Speaking of glass, so we were kind of talking a little bit about like some of the prep tips. So glass is one of those things that often things are a mixed material. So
Right.
the jar will be glass, but the top might
Plastic.
be metal or might be plastic.
yeah.
So if it's a metal top, you're gonna take off that top, and then our magnets will be able to pick that up. So they're gonna go in your bin separately.
So you don't throw the metal top in?
Oh, you do. You throw
do?
them. You throw them both in your recycling
Oh,
bin.
okay, all right.
But you don't want. You don't want
it together.
You don't want.
You
it
want to separate it. Oh my God, it's
Exactly.
just getting touchy.
Oh, you can do it.
Oh
You
man.
can do it.
So the jars. Oh, go ahead. What else you got?
So let's see what else is in my little bag of tricks. So we got our peanut butter.
Oh, there you go. Now we
got
talked
this
about that. Okay.
plastic container.
Plastic container, plastic top too.
Plastic top. Good
And
as-
empty.
And empty.
And empty, folks. No
That's what
peanut
we wanna
butter in it,
do.
right? No good with peanut butter in it.
Newspaper.
That's good.
Absolutely.
That's
it's
good.
paper.
It depends on what it is. That's a Providence Journal. That's okay. That's trash.
I'm good. Right along to sanitary paper.
What?
Napkins, paper towels.
Right.
What do we think?
That's paper.
It's paper, right?
Right. But
But
so what?
This is what we have. We have our basic rules, but then we have what we call like this nitty-gritty exceptions.
oh my God.
Imagine trying to separate something like this with equipment.
Why do you gotta separate it?
It's because
It's
we got
paper.
Yeah, but we got it all goes into the bin together, and everything gets separated by the type of commodity. This
That's paper.
this doesn't
This
survive.
Is paper.
It's at the end of its useful life.
Is it?
So sanitary
So you
paper
can't
like
do it.
this, great in compost bins. If you do any backyard composting, do you compost?
I'm not a composter.
You should consider it.
Really?
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
but
dense,
you
and
only
I can do it.
compost if you have a garden.
Not necessarily.
Well, grass, I guess.
Yeah, I don't do food scraps in my compost because I don't cook.
But wait a minute, you go to restaurants, you gotta have food leftovers.
Oh, I eat.
You eat everything.
I eat everything. I'm a clean plate club. But if you just want to do...
What about the bones?
I'm vegetarian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no bones for me. But...
How do you become a vegetarian anyway?
I don't even know. It just happened one day, and then I got used to it. And
Really?
it's been a while, so I have no taste for meat. It's good for the environment too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about fish?
So I'm a pescatarian. I hate to use that phrase because it sounds pretentious, but so
A pescatarian?
a pescatarian. So I will eat fish and seafood, but I don't eat it that often. But mainly vegetarian
Chicken?
diet.
No chicken.
No chicken.
No chicken.
Nothing with it.
Now, is it true? I heard a statistic about meat, how much energy it takes to get a hamburger, and end up with a hamburger.
I mean, I'm not really a authority on this, but there's some interesting stats out there about if you eat a plant-based diet, there being less energy consumed or expelled.
Or you don't have to feed the cows.
Exactly. Right? You don't have to feed the cows, and the cows, when they do their business, the methane and all that stuff. But I'm not an expert on that. So.
Yeah, but the methane and the compost from the cows feeds your garden for your plants.
I guess that's true.
So you're eating part of the cow by eating the plants. And plants are alive. Some people say that they don't eat anything alive. But
Who are
plants
these
alive.
people?
Plants are alive. I
Well,
got
I know they're
eggplants
alive.
in the last month. They started out this big,
Yeah,
now they're that big.
that's
Now,
true.
how did that happen?
So if you kill a plant, are you a murderer?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
You're a planter.
Oh, man. Oh, God.
Something like that.
I'm in trouble, guys. Jeez.
So what else we got here? Oh, you got a couple more.
Hey, I got a couple
we
more
only
things
got a
in
couple
there.
more minutes, so go ahead.
Let me, hold on. Give me my bin,
Good.
man.
Now I don't have to bend my neck.
So, another carton.
Cotton.
Cartons are good.
Oh, wait a minute. I was looking at the top. Oh, it's plastic.
There's a plastic top. Carton's good.
Cotton's good. Nothing in it, though.
Empty.
It's got to be empty.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about a sock?
That goes to those other things, those bins.
Yes,
that you put out,
look at you.
Right?
Yes. So
like the Salvation Army. But you know what I find sad about that?
What?
I subscribe to Consumer Reports,
Mm-hmm.
and it may have been there, maybe it wasn't there, but someplace I learned that only 3% of the profits actually goes to those people that's supposed to go, like Big Brothers and Sisters. It's sad.
I mean,
all the scams going on. I'm so sick of
depends on
scams.
the organization and all
Yep.
those things. I guess the good story to tell out of those sort of textile recycling things is textiles are a pretty prominent thing that we find in the landfill. So anytime you do send it to a recycler, you're keeping it out of the central landfill.
Right.
Especially in Rhode Island, we have only one landfill, and it's filling
Getting
up.
full. The highest point in Rhode Island now.
That's not true.
That's not true?
No.
That's not true. So then what is? Then what is, Marty?
Jeremoth Hill at 1800.
What is it?
Jeremoth Hill, 812.
Jeremoth or Jeremiah?
Jeremoth Hill.
Oh, Jeremoth?
Yeah, 812 feet.
Really?
The landfill's nowhere close to that. I
Not
don't know
even close?
I don't even know.
Who's lying to me then? Who told me that story?
I have no idea, but the landfill at its tippity top is 570 feet.
Really? You can see
Jeremoth.
Block Island, though.
You can see some
I want to go to
things.
landfill. I want you to give me a tour of the landfill.
I would be happy to. We have free public tours.
I don't want a public tour. I
Oh, you
want
want
a
like a
trusted tour.
behind-the-scenes
Yes,
tour?
exactly.
I think I can arrange that.
Well, let's do it.
On a clear
do it
day,
on a Bob's Big Adventure.
On a
yeah.
clear day, you can see the Jamestown Bridge. And,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about recycling, but I have to, it sounds weird, but it's like do a plug for our landfill. I think a lot of people have some misconceptions about trash and waste and landfills.
Yeah.
But landfills they're engineering marvels. Like they're amazing. The fact that we have a repository for all of our waste and it's
Right.
put away in a safe place is a pretty cool thing. And I challenge people sometimes people think of like the recycling bin as the good bin and the trash bin as the bad bin, but it's not really like that because we're going to generate waste, so we're going to make sure that we're putting trash in the right place. And when people, we call it wish cycling, so like if someone like wants something to be recycling so bad that they like throw it in the bin, that doesn't help anyone.
Right.
because we're seeing way too much of the wrong stuff in the bin. So it is okay to generate trash. It is okay to throw things away. And when you do, it comes to us and we take care of it.
Well, I'm going to go up there. I'm going to hold you.
You should. It's fun.
And I know your mayor very well. In fact, he's been here a few times. He was here a couple months ago.
I'm sure he has. He can tell you all about it.
All right, what else you got? You got a couple.
Yeah, a couple more things in here. Oh man, time flies when you're having fun, huh?
And you're with me.
Oh yeah.
Time flies.
Aluminum foil.
Aluminum foil. No.
Yes.
Why?
This is recyclable. There's a buy, and the thing that I talk to people a lot about
I don't see anything that says aluminum foil.
right there, foil.
Oh, foil. Oh, I didn't read that.
A lot of times people ask, they say like, why is this recyclable and why is this not recyclable? Supply and demand. So if there's a supply for the material,
right,
and we can get it to a manufacturer, recycler in a way that they can process it,
right,
that's what dictates it. Like I'm not like up at my desk like, oh man, I'm gonna make this recyclable today. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
We're just a piece on the assembly line, and we try to make sure that we can get these recyclers with these good things.
Katherine Hypolite over there at Rhode Island Resource Recovery.
Yeah.
I'm coming up and see you.
You
what else
better
you
bring
here?
the whole crew. Water bottle.
Water
Recyclable.
bottle. Glass.
Glass jar.
No lid. No lid. Glass, no lid. Recyclable.
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 Right, recyclable.
Yacht Club, too. I got to get them on the show, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
A North Providence company.
Totally.
And
Aluminum can.
aluminum can. Empty aluminum can. Recyclable. This is a little can that they serve on...
like the airplane
yeah,
size.
The airplane cans. First time I saw them, I was on a flight going to Saudi Arabia. First time I ever saw that, and I come home with a whole bunch of them, and I was showing people, want a Coke? Want a little Coke?
Were you flying Emirates?
Yeah, oh yeah. Only the second flight ever on the I love the 747, and unfortunately, they're decommissioning a lot of them.
Got you, yeah.
That is the plane, man.
One day I'll take a vacation.
Really?
Yeah, I'm busy. I got stuff to do.
I even flew the Dreamliner last year, which is a double-decker.
Oh, that's cool.
The Airbus Dreamliner.
All right, so you'll come visit me at the landfill, and then we'll take a trip.
We got it.
There we go.
Well, let's go. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
You're the best.
Oh, I think so,
you
too.
Are. You're the best. And humble, too. And humble.
Right back at you.
Until next time, folks. Well, folks, good evening and welcome to another edition of An Hour with Bob. And tonight, I got one of my favorite guests of all time. I've been doing this 27 years, and he's got to be in the top 5 of people I've had on the show that I really enjoy having on the show. And I know I ripped him up a little bit in the opening, saying that he jammed me in the 2010 Lieutenant Governor's race. But Jim Hummel, how you doing?
Don't you?
I do.
Now listen, am I in the open yet? Every time we talk about this, you talk about me in the open, but I'm not in the open. You haven't made it until you're inserted in the open.
Well, I haven't done a new opening in years.
Yeah, that's because you just want me, right?
Yeah.
For that 2010 thing, right?
Yeah.
Bob has a very long memory.
What? Why?
Because we were doing a debate at WPRO, and you were running for lieutenant governor.
Right.
And did I ask you what did I ask you?
You asked me, but and what got me was you didn't ask the other two candidates. You didn't ask the incumbent lieutenant governor.
What did I ask? Oh, who the Speaker of the House was?
No, not the Speaker. You asked who the minority leader is and who's the whip.
Yeah.
Why would I know that? This wasn't a civics lesson.
I was running for office. You got to hit the ground running. If you're going to be lieutenant governor, you got to know that stuff.
That's the legislator. That's a different branch of government.
What did the voters say ultimately in that election?
Well, I didn't spend any money, but guess how many votes I got?
How many?
Without spending any money. I spent about $5,000.
Wow. Well, it's kind of like Bob Healy. Remember he said
he was in that race.
He would have gotten 40.
Well, no, he was in that race.
No, but you remember when he ran for governor, though?
You're right, yeah.
When Raimondo first got elected, and he got, what did he get, like 23% of the vote, 25%?
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Well, that year I got with Roberts running.
Yeah.
And Bob Healy running.
Yeah.
And me not doing anything other than the debate somebody jammed me with. And with a guy on Channel 10 didn't even include me in the
debate.
No, in the poll they had.
That's right.
The poll, remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
They put 43% undecided.
Yeah. They didn't have your name in
They
there.
didn't even have my name in there.
Yeah.
I got 21,000 votes.
He doesn't hold any grudges, folks. He goes to bed every night thinking about this, apparently. You got to get into the president. It's 2019.
No, I got 21,000 votes. So
congratulations.
I can say that without spending any money, I got 21,000 people that
just as well you're not in public office. Sometimes it ends in indictment, which is not good.
Really?
So you know what? Let's just stay in the private sector and you'll be all set. So what's new?
What's new with you? You're here because I want to hear about you,
Well,
not
what do you
me.
want to know? Ask a question and I'll answer it for you.
How's the Hummel report going?
The Hummel report is great. And I will tell you, I'm very grateful. Right after we launched, for those who don't know, I was with the Journal for 13 years.
I said that, by the way. That's in the opening, by the way.
Channel 6 for 13 years. Yeah. And we launched the Hummel report 10 years ago in October.
That's amazing.
It's a quick 10 years, huh?
It's fast.
In the middle of 2009. Now, a lot of people don't know because I now have, since I've seen you last, I have a partnership with my old employer, the Providence Journal. So they're running all of our, so I'm still an independent contractor, but they run my stories, they pay me for my stories, and we get a lot more eyeballs, but I still have editorial independence, so it's nice.
That's
it's been
great.
A great partnership. Alan Rosenberg and I, the executive editor, we've known each other 40 years. So.
Now, what was odd about that, when you started, you were with the Journal, and you were doing just a story about being, what was it, a switch or something?
A switch with Debbie Kemp. So here, it wasn't, so the story was generated by, this goes back almost 25 years. In the mid-90s, I thought, I'm not sure I want to stay with newspapers because I look like Nostradamus now. Maybe it's not the
You
growth
knew it was happening. Yeah,
well, I didn't. Everybody's like, oh, I'm because when I left the Journal in 95, they hadn't been sold.
Right.
And Al Gore hadn't invented the internet yet, right? It was not a big deal. Those of a certain age will get that joke. And,
it is a joke, by the way.
And so they said, when I ultimately left the Journal to go to Channel 6, they're like, Hummel, you're leaving the Journal? So like television where you have to, negotiate a contract every couple of years and they could let you go. And I just said, they said, you could retire here. And I said, you know why I'm leaving? Because I could retire here. Now, the way the Journal's gone, maybe I wouldn't have retired there.
Right.
I just was feeling like I wanted a new challenge. So I left, and then I left TV 11 years ago because we had some bad owners at Channel 6. So I've been very fortunate. I've stayed one step ahead of the media wave.
Have, yeah.
I mean, ultimately, my wife told me, if you're staying, the twins were in 6th grade. I had no job prospects. It was a horrible
That's
economy.
A gutsy move.
Well, in the end, a lot of people said it must have been a very difficult decision. In the end, it was a very easy decision because every day I went to work, I was ashamed of the product.
Right.
I worked for people I didn't respect. And ultimately, Bob, I was the face of that station. And I was always proud of the work we did. And that last 10 months, I was not proud of it. And so my wife said, ultimately, they're going to drag you down with them. So, leave. I really thought I just won a Murrah Award. I was at the top of my game. I thought, I'll get a job, 3 months non-compete. I'll wait. Then it was the fall of 2008. I'm like, what am I thinking? And so Edward R. Murrow himself would not have been able to have gotten a job. So I was out of work for a year, and it was actually pretty cool. I'm in my late 40s. My kids are in 6th grade, and I became what my wife called the activities director. I was, the dance carpool? You need to talk to the activities director. And so I had a year to think about, I wasn't worried about getting a job. I mean, I could have worked for a politician. I could have gone into public relations. Right. But I love reporting, and I love investigative reporting. So.
You like busting.
I like busting chops. Yeah. And, there's not as many of us left. Jim Terracani no longer with us. Jack White. Sean Daly's moved on, so Tim White does a great job, but there's not as many investigative reporters, and all the crap that flows through Rhode Island. So my thought was I really need to have an internet component. I do long form video, and there's nothing like video. You can tell, on this show, you can tell when somebody's being straight with you or not. Right?
Versus print media versus a quick shot of something.
Exactly. Yeah. So we founded the Hummel Report in October of 2009, and it's grown. The model really is unique in the country because I do long-form video. I now do written pieces that run in the Providence Sunday Journal, and we have media partnerships with WPRO Radio, with the Journal, with Rhode Island PBS, and so we are one of the most widely distributed media outlets in the state now. When you add all of that up in terms of viewership,
you're your own conglomerate.
I'm my own brand, as they like to say.
That's right.
The Hummel brand.
The Hummel brand.
My wife would argue it's a little too much Hummel. She actually kept her maiden name, which I think was a smart move.
Did she really?
Oh yeah, her last name is Smith, and it's not a made up name. It has been Smith.
It actually is.
She had somebody at work who saw she was talking to somebody at work. She works at Rhode Island Hospital. She was talking to somebody at work, and they said, "Oh, so your husband? So you have different last names? So now, what does your husband do?" And she said, "Well, you know, he's an investigative reporter."
Oh, God.
And the guy goes, "Like that Jim Hummel guy?"
No way. Really?
And she goes, "He is that Jim Hummel
Wow.
guy." The guy's like,
that's a compliment.
"It is."
That's like saying Jell-O.
I was appreciative. Yeah, Kleenex, Jell-O,
Right?
all of that.
Band-Aids.
Yeah. So
Hummel.
So it's been good. So
They don't even use your first name.
yeah, it is kind of one. She calls me Hummel, so
Does she really?
yeah. The only time she used my first name was when we
I
got
have a
married.
problem with that.
Why?
Because I think it's disrespectful.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, so I don't think it's, you know, because people have called me that since I've been in high school, so
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. But you will hear people on the air when I'm on WPRO that call up, "Hummel, I want to talk to you about this," and like if you don't know who I am, people are like, "Wow, that's kind of disrespectful." But
Yeah.
it's not to me. So if you want to call up and call me Hummel, that's fine.
So what do you got going? You got something going now?
Yeah, well, we've always, you know, the way it works is my days of daily, and I did daily news for 27 years, and I loved it. It was a lot of jump and run, but you don't realize until you step back how demanding it is, particularly television. And television's changed a lot now. You know, these bean counters at the corporate headquarters say, "Hey, you know how we can save money? Let's make the reporter and the photographer one person."
I know.
And so you
I
see
know.
these 23-year-old women out, and they're men too, but honestly, it's primarily women. They're out at night shooting their own video, running sometimes these backpack live shots.
I've seen them, yes.
It's not good, I don't think.
Right.
And so we have gone the exact opposite direction. That whenever a story comes out, and this was modeled after Why Did You Pay For It, you know, at Channel 6, my news director said every time we run those graphics and we promote the story, I want somebody to say, "Oh, crap, what does he have now?" And so not to rush the story, to take time. So while, you know, I can't work on stories forever, I'm looking at next week, but I'm looking at a month or two down the line and public records and lining up interviews and all that. So I'm thinking about next week, but I'm thinking down the line. And I think that's media's problem now, is that
It's too quick.
my father had a great phrase called the tyranny of the urgent. Think about that.
Yeah.
We're all kind of hostage to what is right in front of us.
Right.
And a lot of us, particularly in media, because you remember 10 years ago when they were shrinking everybody down, a lot of people didn't know they were going to have jobs in 6 months. So who's thinking long range? I have a great partner at the business partner at the Hummel Report. His name's Bill Felkner. And he is one of these guys, you know, I'm trained as a reporter to think about what do I have tomorrow, what do I have next week. We get together periodically and he says, where do you want to be in a year? Where do we want to be in 5 years? Where do we want to be in 10 years? And everybody needs somebody like that in an organization to look for, you know, as much as you can plan ahead like that.
Right.
So.
And how long's he been your business partner?
Well, he's right from the start. From the start. He helped me found it. He had a, I would describe it as a center-right think tank. It was called the Ocean State Policy Research OSPRI, Ocean State Policy Research Institute. And we had partnered at the beginning, and then he came over and became our full-time director of operations. So it's been good, and he's good. My photographer, Mike Rossi, who we've been with for many years, he's the chief photographer. He was the chief photographer at Channel 6 for years. And I had Rossi was taking some time off this summer, so I had my son shoot for me.
One of the twins?
One of the twins did his first ambush this summer, which was very exciting.
Really?
Yep. He was right in there. I said, Cam, you all set? He goes, Dad, just make sure I keep both of you in the frame and don't double clutch. You know what double clutching is, right?
On and off.
Explain to the audience what double clutching is.
When you hit the hot button and then you hit it again, you turn it off.
It's on, you get out of the car and you're so excited you hit it off.
I took a friend of mine to go see a brand new cruise ship up in Boston one time. Actually, it's the guy, the Cruise Brothers, one of the Cruise Brothers.
Cool.
And he was taking me actually, but I was going to do a tour with the president of Carnival Cruise. So we get on the ship, brand new ship, the Destiny. I think it was the Destiny. Gorgeous, huge ship, 100,000 ton ship.
In Boston.
In Boston. It was a debut of the ship. They were showcasing it.
You ever wonder how those ships float? Ever think about that?
It's kind of
You
amazing.
can tell me about displacement. You look at that, and I'm thinking, why does that thing sink? That's a whole nother-
Especially as high as it is.
Oh, yeah.
Some of them, you wonder why it doesn't tip over. Some of them are wider at the top than they are. Well, they all are wider at the top than they are in the bottom, but I mean really wider at the top. I love cruises. I think that's the best. That's the best vacation
Way to
you
go.
could have.
Yeah,
Oh,
'cause
it's
you
the
don't have to
cheapest.
do anything.
Well, and you get the best of food.
Yep.
For free. I mean, it's included.
Right.
And you get the best of entertainment.
Right, and you don't have to worry about anything else. You just pay the price and go.
Right. And if you want, you can include your booze if you want to do that. You know, you can buy a package, a separate package, and get your free booze if you want.
Exactly. So you're talking to this guy. What happened?
So he's giving me a tour of the ship. So we're going around the ship, and I tell Russell, I said, you know, you hit the red button and hold the camera, just make sure that we're in the shot. So we went around that whole ship, did the whole ship. And as we're coming to the end of it, I said, Russell, have you changed tapes yet? He goes, no need to. It's not out yet. I go, you sure? He goes, yeah, no, it's still good tape. Okay. So we leave. We get home. No. I plug the tape in. There's nothing on it. Nothing.
Oh, no.
Nothing. Not a frame.
And how do you go back?
Every time, you know.
You can't. You can't say, hey, give me another tour.
I ain't going to get a shot at the president of Carnival Cruise like that again.
Do you want to hear a worse story? Sean Daly, when he was working for Channel 6, got an exclusive with Bill Clinton when he was president.
Really?
In Providence. Now, it was quick. It was on the fly. Same deal. The photographer double clutched. And they got back to the studio. Actually, they were in a live truck. And he pops the tape in back in the tape days. Daly walked back to the station. I think the photographer was grateful that he did. Can you imagine? And he's immediately on the phone. I got an exclusive.
I got an exclusive.
You know, Sean is. He goes right in, and it happens to everybody at some point.
Wow.
Yeah. So Cameron did not double clutch. We were ambushing a baseball coach in South Kingstown, and so we were in. It's for a story I did about this coach at South Kingstown High School, and we were in the parking lot. So you know, you're trying not to attract attention, because if it was me and Rossi, it's two old guys sitting in the parking lot. We look like creepers, you know, at school. I had Cameron, so it kind of looked like, and he looks young, so I thought, well, it kind of looks like he was in high school. So this guy comes out, and he's got I didn't know exactly what he looked like. He's a gym teacher at the high school.
Right.
He had the goofiest hat on. He had wearing this hat. And so I hesitated.
Was he trying to hide?
No, he just wears this hat. And he took it off when he got in the car. But so I've made this mistake before. If you get out too early and the guy either sees you, or let's say it's not the guy, and then there's some high school student, hey, who's the guy with the camera? You know, and then you're outed. All these things go through your head. One of the first ambushes we ever did after the Hummel report was of Central Falls Mayor Chuck Moreau.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Eventually got convicted for taking the free furnace, which we unveiled, all of that. I was going after him in the parking lot at City Hall, and I got out of the car 10 seconds too early. And he spotted us.
And will you jump in the car and take off?
Pulled back, and then he almost ran me over going out of the parking lot. I'm yelling at him, hey, are you coming back? I look like an absolute fool. And we got in the car, and Rossi, I've been doing this for how many years? And he's like, it's a rookie mistake, man. What are you doing? Yeah, so you got to know. I should run a little seminar called The Art of the Ambush.
Right.
You know, you got to be you see these bozo TV reporters like trying to stick their mic in, somebody's in the car.
Right.
You got to wait. You got to wait when you're going in to interview somebody who doesn't want to be interviewed, or it's going to be, you know, most of the times, the vast majority of times, I call somebody up and I say, hey, let's talk. If I know somebody absolutely is not going to talk to me, then we do the ambush. And but it's very rare. So I was doing a story about a guy who was the Parks and Rec director in East Providence. This guy he sat in his truck for 5 hours a day. And we would see him down at Bold Point Park where they do the concerts now, long before they did the concerts. And so I was getting ready to ambush him, and then there was some heat wave. Like it was 100 degrees every day. He never got out of his car. So my news director was like, Hummel, when are we going to get this story? I said, well, you can't just go up and like tap on the window.
Right, he's not going to open the window.
Roll down the window. But the guy never got out of his car. So finally, on instinct,
you should have put a potato in his exhaust pipe.
Guy was smoking. Yeah, I should have. Guy was smoking, and you know, this is why I love video. He was throwing cigarette butts in his own park. Now think of this. He's the head of Parks and Rec.
Right.
And so that told a lot. So anyhow, we're coming back from a press conference, and I said, you know what, let's just swing down by Bold Point and let's see if the guy's there. There's a guy fishing, and he's talking to the guy. just, you know, kind of like carrying on the conversation.
Right.
We get out of the car, and I think, great, now he's in a position.
He's seeing you he didn't see you?
Yes, he can't escape, right? We walk up. Now he's talking to the guy, and instead of, now he's the head of Parks and Rec. Instead of like turning to us and saying, how can I help you? The guy goes, he finishes his conversation with the fisherman. Apparently he's telling him where the stripers are, right?
Right.
So I walk up to him, I introduce myself, and I say, hey, you know, we've been following you. Doesn't seem to faze him at all. And you don't seem to be getting much work done. He goes, I'm just doing my job. And I said, well, what
is your job?
Everybody I interview seems to have smoked for 50 years. So he's got that voice. He's like, I just doing my job. Yeah. And I said, well, does your job involve sitting in your truck for 6 hours a day? He goes, yeah, I'm a supervisor. And so then I said, well, does your boss know about this? And he goes, yeah, talk to him. We cut to the new town manager in East Providence. And he goes, I'm not very happy about this at all. Turns out this was a guy who had been probably a union guy his whole life.
Right.
If somebody had said to him, you got to do 10 things today, he would have done them.
Right.
The guy was if he was a hard worker or not. But it turns out he thought, now that I'm a supervisor, I really don't have to do, you know, anything. That. So it turns out we followed him all day. One of the pieces of video that we showed, he was going to McDonald's for lunch, no surprise. Then he stopped at this house for a couple hours, and I didn't really know what it was. We were just trying to chronicle his day.
Right.
This is what he does. This is why you're paying him, and he's really not getting a lot of work done. Turns out it was the girlfriend's house.
Oh, no. And he was married?
Yep.
No? Really?
Yep.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
it's a double jam.
Yeah. So not only the wife saw it, I think he had broken it off.
My
and
God.
Anyway, it was not a good scene. So if anybody, you know, people ask me, oh, you ever nervous about, you know, people coming after you?
I was going to ask you that.
So this guy, I think not only did he get fired, he was like 2 months short of a disability, of a pension, and he couldn't get, anyhow, this guy was really jammed up. And I was thinking, yeah, this guy might come after me. This is a guy who you might want to think about. So anyhow, he wound up getting a hardship medical disability. He's since died, so.
So you're all right.
Well, I hope I'm all right. I don't know about, but that's one of those things, unintended consequences. It's like, oh, that was the girlfriend's house. Yeah, I get it.
Wow.
So you got to make sure when you're going in for the ambush, just to make sure everything's right. And sometimes you got to wait, and then sometimes people brush by you. We ambushed Gordon Fox on the House floor, and it's amazing how much they pay people up there to try to deflect the reporters.
Right.
So his chief of staff, Frank Anzavino.
And what does he make?
Frank Anzavino?
Yeah, what does he make?
He was making $140 probably a year. He's since retired.
More than that.
He was the chief, probably $160 maybe.
Yeah.
So you know Frank, old Providence, North Providence rep, and we knew each other. Frank Anzavino was pointing, like trying to get Fox to go away, and it was the day the gay marriage passed. We were questioned about some legal work that he had done for the city. So he's pointing, and he's trying to tell him to go the opposite direction.
Right.
He's thinking, go
that way. Oh, no.
Here we are. And he's in a happy mood because the gay marriage bill is passed.
Right. Yeah.
And this is why we do the ambush interview. Because kids ask me, is it fair? Well, look, we only do public officials. I'm not, ambushing the president of Textron.
Right.
Tax money, right?
Yeah.
So we had been asking him about some of this questionable loans that were going on in Providence. And I said, well, Speaker, how do you know that? And he goes, because a federal agent came and talked to me, Jim. That's why.
Well, and you didn't know that either, right?
I'm like, you know how you hear the soundbite in your ear? I'm like, that's all we need. I hope you weren't double clutching, Rossi.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like, Rossi's eye went up like, did he just say that? And that's all we needed. And then, so Frank Anzavino was in the back like this. He's like, that's not what we
made
wanted.
It for you.
Go the other way. So you could see Larry Berman, who has been there forever.
Right.
Larry, whenever you
former Woonsocket guy.
Woonsocket call, right? And then
Yeah.
he worked for Patrick Kennedy. Can you imagine those years when he wasn't taking the medication?
Yeah.
And being a press secretary for Patrick. And Larry, you could always see is in the. Larry's a great guy.
The press!
He's always having to listen
Yeah.
to what his boss is saying. I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. Can you imagine Gordon Fox? And, he's out, he's done his time. Who takes a bribe by check? Right?
It's amazing.
Can you imagine the forensic auditors, all the things that have been alleged about Gordon Fox? These guys are pouring through the documents, and then in their day, it's boring as the day is long.
Right.
And the
And
guy
they-
comes
it
across
out
the
a check.
and he's like, Mr. Nerona, would you like to see this? Can you imagine? That's unbelievable. So Gordon's in, he's now out. Chucky's in, he's out. He's apparently running an ice cream stand-up in
Is he?
Cumberland.
Oh, yeah?
From
Yeah.
what I heard. So he's done his time.
And Peter Nerona was just sitting where you're sitting.
Oh, how was that interview?
A great guy. Great
Isn't
guy.
isn't he a breath of fresh air?
Good guy.
Peter
I like him.
Kilmartin should have been like charged with fraud for accepting his paycheck every week. I know he's a Pawtucket guy. I'm sorry about that. But Nerona, you hear him on the radio. I mean, would you ever get Peter Kilmartin in this seat as Attorney General?
Yeah.
Did he come as Attorney
Yeah.
General? Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Did he talk about anything?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
See, I knew him. I knew his father.
Yeah, you know. And
I knew
I'm
his
sorry
father.
to, I understand the family connections, but Nerona is a guy, and he's a guy who can say stuff without getting himself in trouble. You know what I mean? When he was U.S. Attorney, he would talk, but he had to be very guarded.
Oh, I think he's a sharp guy.
In what
I think
he
he's
said.
a real sharp guy.
Yeah. You think he's going to run for governor?
Absolutely.
Do you?
Absolutely.
He's got to get in line. How many people are running for governor?
Oh, at least
you got
6.
You got your guy McKee.
Right.
Right?
I think.
Corbea.
Yeah.
Seth Magaziner.
Yeah.
Who else?
Well, of course, you got from Cranston there. What's his name?
Fung?
No, I don't know if Fung's going to run
You
again.
think he's going to go a third time?
I think he might.
They're talking about his wife running for mayor of Cranston.
Yes.
You heard about that?
Yes,
you
I
think
have.
that's going to happen?
Yes, I do.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I had him there too. He was there a couple months ago.
Who have you not had?
Very few people.
Yeah.
Really.
Why wouldn't they come on?
They'd be crazy not to
It's
come on because I don't hit them.
Unfiltered television.
Yeah.
When I did 6 News on the Record, it was 28 minutes of just one-on-one.
Right.
And I'll tell you how things have changed too. And you know how there's a lot of public relations people now. I remember when Sheldon Whitehouse was running for Senate against Chafee, and remember Laffey was in that race.
Well, that's what I was thinking of too. Laffey's coming back to run.
Oh, you think he's going to come?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the guy from Cranston.
Yeah.
So I ran into Sheldon in Sports Authority, and I'd covered him like when he was Attorney General. So I said, "Hey, you want to come on 6 News on the Record?" He said, "Absolutely, call my people." So I call his people. Now this is in February. They said,
I hate that. Call my people.
"You call my people." Not call. He didn't say my people, but you know what I mean. So I called him, and they said, "How about May 25th?" I honestly thought they were kidding. I'm like,
Right.
"What are you talking about, May 25th?" You know who was on the show, cleared his schedule the next week? Steve Laffey. He understood that 30 minutes. They're out-of-town clowns running these campaigns.
Right.
They
Oh,
don't
it's always the
understand that
case,
I can
isn't it?
run into a Michello's.
Right.
They're like in Chicago and New York, and where all these people
Right.
are from.
Right.
The media is the enemy, and that's what Raimondo has the same people. It's like,
Yep.
oh, keep the press away.
Yep. He's got a New York connection. What do you think she's going to do now?
It'll depend on who becomes president.
Right. Well, that's true.
Don't you
That's
think?
true. Yes,
I
absolutely.
think if somebody, Joe Biden, she's very close with Joe.
Right.
If somebody, Uncle Joe, if
Uncle
somebody, I think if a Democrat gets in, you may see her leave early. I don't know that for sure. She's got too high a national profile, and she's jetting all around. And look, it's not getting any easier in Rhode Island. The budgets aren't getting better.
Yeah.
The rollouts, the gambling revenue's down, all of that.
Yeah.
It's not getting easy.
What do you think of legalized gambling?
I don't gamble to begin with,
Yeah.
and I think I'm not. If people want to gamble, that's fine. The sports app, I'm a little concerned about.
That's scary.
I think you could sit in
That's
your
scary.
boxer shorts and run up a bill.
That's what I think is going to be a real problem. People are going to lose houses.
Yeah, for the problem gamblers. The other thing too is, when we talked about this on Lively Experiment, we taped it this morning, is that it's such a chunk of revenue for the state. It's not like if that dips, you can say, "Oh, well, we'll recruit some more businesses to pay taxes," or what. The ship takes so long to turn in Rhode Island. We should have been doing stuff 5 or 10 years ago to lay the groundwork for where we are now. There's just not an instant pot of money. They got to rule in the spending, Bob. They really have got to reel in the spending at the General Assembly.
I don't know how they can.
$10 billion.
Yeah.
When I was with the Journal, it was a $2 billion budget 30 years ago.
Yep.
Who's getting all this money?
So, well.
Good investigative report. Should check that out. Right?
That's right. That's right. Well, we're almost done. You didn't get an hour, Bob, today because we have another half a segment to do.
I think this is good because I'm good in limited doses, and we haven't had a chance to see each other for a while, so you're in limited doses with me. So next time I'll come back for an hour.
Sounds good to
a
me.
deal?
Sounds good to me. It's always a pleasure. And I mean that when I said you rank it up on the top of my career.
I was here when the twins were young, and now they've graduated college.
I know it. I can't believe that. They were on the stage with me, 5 years old?
Yeah.
When they were 5 years old.
And your son's in his mid-20s.
Yes.
That's unbelievable, huh? It just goes by in a blink.
It's too fast.
Too fast.
It's way too
like,
fast.
Like an hour with Bob. It's way too fast.
Oh,
Just don't make it 2 hours with Bob.
No, 27 years though with Bob. 27 years. And I don't even get paid for it. That's the payoff.
It's the audience's adulation that you like.
Is it?
Yep.
Something like that. Well, folks, thank you for spending an hour with Bob and Jim Hummel. Until next time.